Well, hello everybody, and welcome to the February 2024 edition of the Mayor's Monthly Video. I hope everybody had a wonderful Valentine, and I hope you're enjoying a blessed season of Lent. So let me give you a quick overview of what we're going to talk about today. So it's going to be election and legislative update related. So March the 5th, we've got the primary elections in the state of Alabama. For those of you who vote here in Columbiana, it's at the Grand Hall at Old Mill Square. And you can go to the state website, the Secretary of State, and you can download a sample ballot so you can see who and what's on the ballot. So the next thing we're going to talk about is give you a little legislative update. The Alabama legislature is in session. I'm going to share with you our legislators' contact information, and then real quickly kind of go over the proposed legislation that they're working on this legislative session, because I think some of it you're going to be real interested in. It's going to have an impact on everybody in the state and here in Columbiana too. So first, our delegation for Columbiana, our state senator is Lance Bell. Lance is from Pell City, and on the photograph here at the bottom, I've got his office phone number, and I've got his email address at the Alabama Senate. So if you have any issues, concerns, or want to talk to Lance about proposed legislation, or just any other thing that's concerning you, you can contact him at those two, that phone number and that email address. Also, we've got our state representative from right here in Columbiana, is Corley Ellis. I've got Corley's office phone number there down at the Capitol, as well as his State House email address. So if you have issues, concerns that you'd like to discuss with Corley, you can get a hold of him in his office through that phone number and that email address. So now let me go through what's going on in the legislature right now. Okay, we're going to start with Senate bills, and I've just put the major ones on here, and I'm going to kind of share with you what I know and what I understand about these Senate bills. So SB 10, Senate Bill 10, provides that county and municipal library boards serve at the pleasure of their appointing authorities. Now, the Columbiana Library has a board that gets appointed by the city council. And the double-edged sword over this appointing authorities, normally they serve, these various boards serve terms that extend beyond the term of a city council or a mayor. So the way I understand this bill, if they serve at the pleasure of the appointing authorities could just decide, okay, you're gone. And so normally there has to be a reason, the way the process is today, and that's to lend some stability to the library boards. I think this stems from certain communities that around the nation that you've probably heard a lot about, where there's been concern about school boards and library boards teaching things, having books in their curriculum that parents don't approve of. And so the county commission can't get rid of those board members. And so that's a little bit of a double-edged sword. So I think you ought to consider that clearly. And if you have an opinion on that, contact Senator Bell. SB 50 prohibits a governmental entity from restricting acquisition of appliances based on the energy source. So you've heard a lot in the news about the banning of gas stoves and things of that nature. So I believe that's in response to that. And SB 38 allows businesses to deduct excise taxes from gross receipts. Now what that does is that reduces their amount of state tax that they have to pay. And excise taxes can also include things like business license fees and things of that nature. Again, this is a double-edged sword. If they're able to do that, it's going to reduce the taxes they pay. And, small towns like Columbiana don't have a very strong tax base. And so generally I'm in favor of reducing taxes, but there always needs to be some way to ensure that there's revenue to replace those tax reductions in some other way so that we can provide the services that our citizens require. SB 62 exempts state and local sales tax for certain baby, maternity, and menstrual products. This would be in addition to the state tax reduction, if you will, in sales tax. It's eliminating grocery taxes. And I think there's been an amendment attached to this bill that gives it would apply to the state, but it would give municipalities the option of opting in or opting out. And then SB 51 requires controlling governmental entities like a municipal council or a county commission to retain the names of replaced buildings. So if there was a historic building that was torn down in your town or in our town, and a new one was put in its place, then this bill would require you to give that building the same name and not take away, for example, a historic name. Now, there's an option to it that says if you don't want to, if you do want to change the name of it, you at least have to erect a monument or a plaque or something like that that says, okay, this used to be the whatever building in that particular town. So that's the key legislation that's going on that's been introduced in the Senate. So I got quite a few for the House of Representatives, so let me cover that next. All right, so House Bills. House Bills 151 and 152. Now this is the big one, if you will, guys. This is the gaming bill. This has already passed the House and it's on its way to the Senate for consideration. These two bills reflect the constitutional amendment as well as the enabling legislation that's going to allow for a state lottery, casinos, sports betting, and things like that in the state of Alabama. So if this thing passes both the House and the Senate, it will then have to come to the citizens for a vote, and it will be on the ballot as a constitutional amendment, probably in the November election of this year. HB 73, it limits annual residential, agricultural, and business property tax increases. Once again, generally in favor of reduced taxes or no tax increases. But what this does is these property taxes get reassessed periodically by your county, if you will. And what happens is this limits it to 3% for residential and agricultural and 5% for businesses. And that could potentially, we have very, very low ad valorem taxes in the state of Alabama, second lowest in the nation. And so this could actually have a negative impact on municipalities by reducing their tax base or limiting their tax base. So there's again, like everything, it has a double-edged sword to it. HB 128 prohibits municipal historic commissions from designating places of worship as historic property. I'm not quite sure what's behind this one right here. So it prohibits municipal historic commissions from designating places of worship as historic property. So need to read a little bit more about that, find out the details on it, and then we can contact our representatives if we have a concern about that. HB 51 exempts hearing aids from sales tax. Once again, we depend a lot on sales tax. I haven't read the fiscal report on this. My personal opinion is it's probably going to be fairly small impact, so I'd probably be inclined to do that. Generally, the folks who would benefit that would be, for the most part, but not all, our elderly population, and so this could be something that would be beneficial to them. HB 112 exempts general sales tax from the sale of cats and dogs. Now, it replaces that sales tax with a 9% tax, which would go to animal control. And I'm all for animal control, but once again, we start messing with the sales tax. 70% of Columbiana's tax revenue comes from sales tax. And so that's how we service our sewer, provide garbage services, police, fire, all that sort of stuff. And so when we start reducing that causes me some concern. HB 99 says religious institutions may not be burdened with public safety precautions more restrictive than non-religious organizations that provide essential services. I haven't delved into the details behind this, but on the surface, I agree with that. They shouldn't certainly have any safety precautions that are any more restrictive than any other organization that provides essential public services. HB 121 extends whistleblower protection to county and municipal employees. In the past, within the state of Alabama, that was only available, I believe, to state employees. Of course, the federal government has its own whistleblower law, so it extends that to county municipal employees, and I certainly support that. HB 126 mandates annual sensory needs training for firefighters. Now, we already do that for our police department, and this is so when you encounter a victim or a perp or anything like that, as far as the police is concerned, that may have special needs. They may be autistic. It could be any number of things like that. So this allows you to be able to address the sensory issues that that person has, keep them calm, be able to communicate with them and provide them help. And so this would mandate it for firefighters. Once again, I haven't read the fiscal support report on it, so I'm not sure how they intend to fund that, but in generally, I would be supportive of that. HB 131 is Certificate of Exemption for Medical Equipment and Supplies. This certificate applies to healthcare providers. And, you know, most everybody else who has anything that is tax exempt does have to get a tax exemption certificate. I'm not sure how this would negatively impact healthcare providers, but it does require them to have that certificate of exemption. So need to look into the details behind it. And if that's all it is to get the certificate, I certainly wouldn't have any objection personally to that particular bill as it stands. So that's the major bills and the legislation that's going through the House of Representatives right now. Okay, so that's it for February. That was pretty quick. If you have any questions or comments, please go to our website. Keep those cards and letters coming in, and I'll see you guys in March.